Steve Evans. Steve, you're a dairy farmer in Wales. We've talked a lot on this programme about the price of milk going up, the price of feedstock going up, the price of fuel going up. What's the reality in your day-to-day life as a dairy farmer?
A week since I spoke to you last. A week is a long time in agriculture. Dear God. I've had to buy more fertiliser. I was hoping to hang on till May, but unfortunately the market is on the move again. It slipped back a little bit last week, so I jumped in and purchased a urea-based product. It's cost me just over £1,000 a tonne. The payback on that versus not using it is still, even with it being over £1,000 a tonne, is about 2 to 1. But the impact, the short-term impact on cash flow is phenomenal, because effectively last year I would have paid somewhere around £13,000 for an Arctic load to come in. This load is now costing me nearly £30,000.
Wow. More than twice as much.
It's incredible. It's incredible. That coupled with fuel is still floating around. Red diesel now is still floating around about £1 a litre. My feed contract finished at the end of March, so none of the feed companies will give you a forward contract for the winter coming. They've allowed me a contract up until September, which is £130,000 more than what I was on previously.
For the same amount of feed?
Same amount. Carbon copy.
That's a huge increase. That's a huge increase.
And then just one other thing as well, right? We're spending money on fertilizer. We need the fertilizer. We have to stimulate crop growth for livestock grazing, to grow the cereals, this, that, and the other. One of the key components of that is ensuring soil pH is correct.
Yeah, the acidity, yeah.
This fertilizer, otherwise this fertilizer we're putting on is only about 50 to 60% efficient. The rest of it will just leach away. So ground limestone is a key part to this. That has now gone up because the quarries are now forced to use white diesel because of government policy. They've had to move away from using red onto white. So now that's gone up another 10%. So you can understand why farmers are cutting back, because they're trying to manage risk. This is all about risk. We're not in a big way of business here, but when you're talking those sums of money, it's astonishing.
Steve, let's just hear from Alex Waugh, who's the director of UK Flour Millers. We heard there from a dairy farmer, Alex. He's talking about feedstock, what he feeds to his livestock. Your main raw material as a flour miller is wheat and other soft commodities. How are the prices that you are facing behaving?
So it's the same story. Liam talked about cash flow, and that's really the big story as far as pretty much all foodstuffs are concerned. So an average size flour mill will see its bill for wheat go up by £15 million in the course of this year on the basis of today's prices. They're up by about 60 to 70% year on year. And only about half of that is to do with the war in Ukraine. As Gerard said earlier, we'd seen rising prices earlier on in the year, so that in the last 12 months, as a result of shortages in some qualities of grain around the world. So it's grain is what we see most. That's our biggest cost. But in terms of the size of increase, power is way bigger in percentage terms. Looking at gas and electricity prices up 300%, and that's okay, provided you've got a fix in place, and everyone is has got some degree of hedging in place. But those hedges run out, and as they begin to run out, you'll see a sudden big big increase in costs coming through. It's not a gradual increase as markets move up. It's all in one step where you move from hedged to unhedged. And that's going
Alex,
to be
Alex,
really
hold that thought. Hold that thought, Alex. I want to bring in Victoria Scholar after the break. We're going to carry on this discussion. It's an important discussion. I don't apologise for returning to it. To my mind, this is the most important story in the British economy at the moment, and indeed the global economy. The price of food spiralling, the fact that we're not planting as much as we would normally at this time of year, which means that will knock on. So after the break, we will keep this discussion going with